Hey everyone and welcome back. This is Dave, and a few weeks ago I was walking through a local flea market without really planning to, buying anything. But then I noticed that this thing was sitting in a box full of old cables and random electronics. It immediately caught my attention, and when I picked it up I realized that this was an iPod Touch 5th generation. But how do you know it's a 5th generation? Well, quite simple. If you take a closer look, the 5th generation has one of these that if you press, pops up and reveals a loop attachment. But either way, we'll get to that a bit later. So what about the price? Well, it was $25. And what made this even more interesting was the fact that this was engraved on the back. And it wasn't your typical Apple engraving. It actually had the logo of Antenna International, which makes me think that this may have been originally a company-owned device, possibly even used as a museum audio guide of some kind or, a commercial media player. I'm really not too sure. But if you've heard about Antenna International, let me know, I'm really curious, so drop a comment down below. Either way, this alone made this iPod feel a little more, special than a regular second-hand iPod off of eBay. But of course, the real question isn't where it came from. The real question is whether a device like this can still be used in 2026 in any meaningful way. Or has it just become nothing more than, a nostalgic piece of Apple history? So either way, let's take a closer look. But let me just finish the flea market story. So the seller didn't really know much about it, and he wasn't even sure if the device powered on, which usually is a bit of a gamble when you're buying old tech like this. Of course, there was no charger included, no box, no accessories, nothing, just the iPod itself. So when I got home, I plugged it in and I was genuinely not sure what to expect. But after a few seconds, the Apple logo appeared and it booted straight into iOS 9, and just take a look at it. Thankfully, there was also no activation lock, and the battery, which is obviously quite old, still holds a surprising amount of charge, so no complaints there. Honestly, it might even last more than my 7th generation. Of course, there is some minor wear around the home button and some minor scratches on the back and on the display, but come on, for $25, who cares? And the 5th generation iPod Touch was actually quite a big redesign compared to the previous model, which I have just right here. And it felt like Apple really refreshed the product entirely. And if we compare these two, you'll see exactly what I mean. So first of all, it's much taller as it has a 4-inch screen rather than the 3.5 on this. It also moved from the 30-pin dock connector to the Lightning port, which was still current as of, 2022 or something. So yeah, it's still quite decently modern. And again, the design was completely different. This had a curved stainless steel back, which was super shiny. Like, don't get me wrong, it would scratch even if you looked at it the wrong way, and it was noticeably, as I said, thicker and heavier, and it just felt like it belonged to an earlier iPhone era. The 5th generation, on the other hand, as I said, introduced the 4-inch Retina display, switched to the Lightning connector, and adopted a much thinner and lighter aluminum design. It also came in a bunch of, vibrant colors, like this blue, or I also have a pink one somewhere, but yeah, colors were a new thing, as this one only came in literally white or black. That was it. But yeah, honestly, this felt like a mini iPhone 5, basically, without the cellular connectivity, so it was quite cool, and especially for the price, this was a good deal. And if we move a generation forward, we have the 6th generation. Well, actually, this is a 7th generation, but they look literally identical, as they no longer have that button for the loop. And the iPod Touch 6th generation went up to iOS 12, while the 7th generation went all the way up to iOS 15, which makes it more than usable today. But this iPod Touch 5th generation only went up to iOS 9. So what actually still works on it? Well, let's take a look. But first up, we'll start with the good news, because there's definitely some. So when it comes to music, this thing does exactly what it was designed to do. You can sync your own music library through iTunes without any issues. And surprisingly, it also supports Apple Music, so if you're currently subscribed to Apple Music, this will work just fine. It also offers Bluetooth connectivity, so if you want to hook it up to a speaker, it's literally as easy as, connecting your iPhone to a Bluetooth speaker. So for that, it works fine. It also works with the AirPods, as I said. And yeah, as a dedicated music player, it honestly feels refreshing to use. There are no constant notifications, no background app refreshes, no extra apps, no distractions. You simply pick this up, plug in your headphones, and press play. And it just works. That's the entire magic of it. However, once you step out of music, the limitations become very obvious. Safari technically works. Let's try and load apple.com. Yes, honestly, it's faster than I thought. It's fine, I guess, but keep in mind, this thing had the guts of an iPhone 4S inside of it, so of course it's going to be quite slow. So what else? If we go to the App Store and try to download any apps, I've already tried this, it's not going to work because most apps require iOS 12 or newer. So when you try to download basically any app, it won't let you. It'll tell you to update, but of course you can't because this is running iOS 9. Now, there are some games that I actually managed to download, and here's GTA Vice City, which is quite a heavy game, but let's see if it runs. Go on, come on. Okay. I skipped through most of it because it was taking ages. But it should hopefully finally load. And yes, take a look at this. We're in Vice City. And we're on the top of a shopping mall or something. Let's jump off of it. Ooh, the frame drop. Yeah, I guess GTA Vice City works just fine. Let's try GTA 3. Let's start a new game and see if it loads. Yeah, I can already tell this is taking ages to load compared to any other device.
I know a place on the edge of the red light district where we can lay low, but my hands are all messed up, so you better drive, brother. This is hit radio.
Oh yeah, the frame drops. So yeah, you can see this works, but it's not a good experience. But even so, a 12, 13-year-old iPod running, GTA Vice City and GTA 3, that's quite impressive. So yeah, as you can tell, performance-wise, the A5 chip inside of this definitely shows its age. Apps take a huge amount of time to load, multitasking is basically non-existent because of the low amount of RAM. I think it had 256 megabytes of RAM or 512, either way, very low amounts. And when you compare it to a modern iPod Touch, well, modern, this is a 2019 model, which is the newest one, there's a huge difference when it comes to speed. So, to answer the main question, is this still usable today? Well, if you're expecting this to function as a modern smart device, the answer is clearly no. It simply cannot keep up with modern apps, modern websites, or modern expectations, really. But if you approach it as what it was originally designed to be, which is an iPod, then the answer changes completely, because as I said, as a dedicated music player, this is still excellent. It supports Bluetooth headphones, Bluetooth speakers, it connects to your AirPods, Apple Music still works, and syncing your library through iTunes is just as straightforward as it always has been. And for $25, this turned out to be, an incredibly fun and surprisingly practical purchase, as long as you understand its limitations. In some ways, using it feels more refreshing because it simply reminds you of a time when devices had a single purpose and weren't constantly demanding your attention with notifications and so on. And maybe that's the real charm of it in 2026. As such, if you've enjoyed this kind of Apple content and this type of video and would like to see more videos where I revisit older Apple devices and, see how they hold up today, please drop a comment down below and let me know. And if you're not subscribed already, I would highly appreciate it if you did. But either way, this was Dave on Tech signing out, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!